to enable them govern and deliver services effectively to the counties, and sustain collection of on-source revenue. It's very key in self-sustenance of the counties. At the same time, in providing for services, goods and services for the public, eradicating poverty, and also achieving targeted development for the milestones. And as you have mentioned, one of the mandates for CRA is to define and enhance revenues for revenue sources for county governments, so that they are able now to one of the mandates of CRA is to define and enhance revenue sources for county governments. And one of the things that CRA has done, first of all, CRA undertook a study on potential for revenues for counties, just to estimate the revenue potential for counties, how much can they collect per year. And as a commission, we've been doing dissemination of this study to counties, just to show them each revenue stream, how much they're able to collect, and the strategies that the local strategies that they can use to ensure that they're able to achieve their potential. The Commission has also developed model laws to help county enact legislation, revenue-raising legislations. And one of the model laws is the trade license. And some counties have even gone ahead, used this model law to do mapping of their businesses within the counties, and now they are collecting revenues up to their potential. Another law that we've been able to develop for counties is the rating bill, county rating bill, and the revenue administration bill. Those are some of the model laws that county CRA has been able to do to help county governments. Another thing we are working, I always say that we don't work in isolation. We work with our stakeholders, and we've been working closely with the National Assembly and the Senate to give inputs on various legislations that are touching on OSR. The first one is the OSR bill that was passed by both National Assembly and Senate, that are waiting for ascending by the President. There's also the rating bill that we gave our inputs at CRA, and the county government revenue raising bill that was passed by both houses. So those are some of the issues that we've been working with the county government, just to ensure that we are helping them. We have continued to advise and capacity build county governments to ensure that they're enacting laws that are helping them to collect revenues and justify why they're collecting revenues within counties. Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to go to the National Treasury. Based on what Commissioner has alluded to in terms of, she's talked about the rating bills and all that, and the various laws that we have been giving input to, I want to take you back to 2015, when there were a lot of complaints by traders in terms of fees and charges that are being collected arbitrarily, and multiplicity of those fees and charges. And I remember in 2015, IBEC made a resolution that we needed to come up with a national policy to support enhancement of county government's own source revenue. And I remember you came up with one, and it was approved by Cabinet in 2018. I would want you to tell us, Dr. Rose, what is this policy all about? What are its objectives? And what are the various policy interventions that were put up in this policy? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. I came with some copies of the policy. I'm here on behalf of my principal secretary, Dr. Chris Kipto, who was unable to come due to other commitments. It is true we have a policy on OSR that was launched in 2019. It has a life of 10 years. It is due for review now. Just as before I answer the question you asked me, if you look at the policy, it starts with the historical background, where we have the defunct local government under Cap 265. Then come forward to 2010, we have a constitution that now we have the national and county government. So we look at from the background, we go to the situation analysis, really what obtains after the defunct local government, what the counties inherit. Move forward, you look at the objectives. From the objectives, we have the strategies. We have the governance structure, and then the last chapter is on the implementation framework, which is basically at the top we have the IBEC, and then we have the steering committee chaired by the CS National Treasury. We have a technical committee chaired by the PS National Treasury, and then with membership from as many institutions as you are seated here. We also have a secretariat that steers that process. Coming to the objectives, the policy was developed to address what was observed on the ground when the county governments came into place. One thing is that we needed a policy that would streamline the management of OSR, for example, in terms of system, in terms of collection. We also wanted a policy that will give you that predictability in terms without affecting economic activity when you are doing business across counties. We also wanted a policy that will give you that the legal framework, sort of, to give you the guide on how you will deal with the legal issues. I think those are the key highlights of the policy in terms of objectives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe before I go to Honorable Chege, I would want you to basically tell us just a highlight of the 5 main policy interventions touching the national policies, touching on, so that then we can be able to go to the county level. Thank you. Tariffs.
We have, in terms of interventions, there are 3 broad interventions. The interventions at the national government, where we are talking of the bills that the national government needed to come up with. The intervention at the next level is at the county government, where you needed to now come with the primary legislations in your counties. Then, going to there is also, if you look at in terms of implementation, there is the National Assembly and the county assemblies. They are also given expectations on what to do. Now, coming to the national government, we have done the rating bill, we have done the revenue raising measures bill. That is in terms of the legislation. Now, in terms of administrative, you now go to the administrative side of it. You are aware that the other day we are spearheading, of course, we are working very closely with CRS, COG to develop a county revenue management system, which will ensure that there is that harmony and there is that predictability, because we have looked at what happens whenever there is change of government, particularly from county government. There is total change even in the system. So we need to have that prediction. We have also done a lot of capacity building in terms of revenue management in the counties. There is the other intervention. I think that is all about the interventions. Broadly, there are 3, and each of us is expected to play our respective roles.
Thank you, Tariffs. I think that's at the national level. We've seen what the National Treasury is doing also to support county governments in terms of OSR. And I want to come to you, Your Excellency, Governor Kakamega, and I would want you to tell us I know you have made lots of efforts to increase your own source revenue, and I would want you to tell us what are some of these challenges that you face in terms of the legal and the policy and legal framework in terms of your collection of OSR, and at the same time you could also tell us what are some of the interventions or the efforts you're making in terms of collection of OSR. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. There are quite a number of challenges which counties are facing, policy and legal framework, in especially the area of legislation. First and foremost, most of the counties are still relying on outdated bylaws by the defunct local authorities to collect the revenues. And of course, because of that, the optimization of the revenue collection is hampered. That is why we are trying to sensitize the counties in terms of passing specific legislation on revenue collection. Like now, the rating bill, which has been discussed before, is one of the interventions which counties can use to optimize the revenue collection. The other challenge, of course, we also don't have specific legislations of these revenue streams. Most often than not, you find counties relying on annual basis on their finance bills, which will now apply for purposes of the levies and taxes. I think going forward is important for counties to come up with specific legislation on revenue streams so that it can actually enhance revenue collection. Of course, now the biggest challenge which I know we are addressing today is lack of a model tariff and pricing policy, where there is no uniformity on what is charged in terms of levies. And this, of course, when you are looking at investors, they feel frustrated when counties are charging different levies for the same service. So the intervention by CRA, by launching this model tariff and pricing policy, will actually come and address the uniformity aspect. The final challenge which we are facing as counties is encroachment by the Kenya Revenue Authority in the on-source revenue that is collected by counties, where KRA is now charging VAT on on-source revenue. So when you charge VAT on on-source revenue, this is something that we have raised and we still want to record, that KRA is actually interfering with the revenue raising mechanism by charging VAT on on-source revenue. So our policy intervention, which must be legislated in terms of respecting that counties are also mandated by PFF Act to collect their revenue. So it's not really an issue of KRA trying to collect revenues from on-source revenue by charging VAT. So that's an area which we have been on record that it needs to be addressed by maybe the National Assembly passing specific legislation. In terms of interventions of enhancing revenue collection, we are now moving into automation. Most of the counties have already onboarded automation to enhance revenue collection by sealing some of the loopholes. I appreciate the intervention by CRA. I know there is a proposal to have the integrated revenue management system. We have also been on record and given our voice of the self. It's a good idea, but it needs to be implemented in phases, because we already have counties that have invested heavily in the automation process of revenue collection. And when we consider the integrated revenue collection system for all counties, this is something that we believe should be implemented in phases so that we have that information. Of course, the issue of capacity building for the revenue officers has also been enhanced. I want to appreciate what CRA is doing. You moved around most of the counties just to sensitize our revenue officers, and also the capacity building aspect is quite useful. Sensitization is crucial. Most often than not, we have a problem on the implementation of our finance acts, especially on revenue collection. There's a lot of resistance. So I think sensitization and making sure that whatever is collected, of course, our wananchi can see that it's being put in good use. And then finally, we're also looking at diversification of revenue streams. There are so many revenue streams which we haven't really tapped into. And since we already have a blueprint on the potential, as counties, we are trying to make sure that we go into diversifying our revenue streams so that we don't just focus on the traditional parking fees and then, of course, the land rates. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We have picked several things from what you say, the issue of automation and all the issues you have mentioned, and I'm glad to tell you that KRA is represented. There's someone representing the Commissioner General, and they have picked that issue that you have mentioned. You have keenly talked about the issues of lacking specific registration, which should support you to collect your own source revenue. And I'm glad that we have the county assemblies represented here by Honorable Chege, County Assemblies Forum. And Honorable Chege, the county assemblies are mandated constitutionally to register on behalf of the county governments. And so you are supposed to help the county governments come up with their own primary laws so that they can be able to collect their own, have a basis of collection of own source revenue. And if you notice, the last, in April, end of April, there was a petition where 41 county governments, including Kakamega here, including Mombasa here, they were all taken to court for failure to enact those primary laws, and so they were using their finance bills to be able to, as a basis for levying these fees and charges. So I would want you to tell us what is the role of the county assemblies in enacting these primary laws, and once you tell us your role, why is it that many counties, the 41 counties, are still struggling to have these primary laws in place?
Appreciate the new commission with its approach that has made us, as county assemblies, not only get involved but also to participate in your processes, starting from the last revenue allocation process that you had. Thank you. And number two is also to acknowledge that I represent the 47 county assemblies as the Secretary General. But then again, we also have a battery of speakers, maybe around 7 led by our chair, the County Assemblies Forum, who also found it necessary to grace your good occasion, and I thank you that they are here. Back to your question, the role of county assemblies, number one, legislatively, it is a mandate to make that law. But then again, these laws need to also emanate from the executive, because the executive has a department on the county attorneys on the other end. And number two, they do have the revenue raising abilities through the finance, not committees, but the finance departments. So much as it is yes our role, but it needs to originate initially from the executive so that we make the pass from that side to our side. I'm saying that because looking at the model that you're proposing, the thinking is heavily on the OSR and how to raise more revenue for the county governments to operate. But when it comes to the county assemblies, legislatively we look at it from that angle, but then we also have the heart of oversight. So that much as we are looking at the revenue raising abilities of a given county, we also keen that the revenue raising capabilities also are in tandem with the taxation that will be taken to the Mwananchi. so that the citizen, as they are raising revenue for you through the taxes that they are paying, they also feel that there is a counterbalance to the cost of that service. So that at the end of the day, yes, there is a cost, number one, to whatever revenue measure you're making, but number two, is there a commensurate value for what they're making? Number two, there should be a mechanism to review the same at a given time. So that, let me give you an example of Nairobi, because that's where I operate in. If you're going to pay a fire license in a given building, who is the primary, who's supposed to make that payment? Is it the owner of the building, or is it the individual business premise? So that if a building has 10 floors, it's the business of the business owner to pay. So the various small offices are there, pay a fire license. But number two, the owner of the building also pays a fire license. And then number three, if the building gets fire and the county government did not respond on time, who now bears the brunt of value for that service, or the value of whoever paid that tax? And so that's, from the county assemblies, our conversation cannot be only on OSR, is one angle, but also on the oversight that the mwananchi or the citizen is feeling that the number one is the value for what they are paying for, and number two, should they not get commensurate service for it, what happens? Finally, this discussion about revenue raising should ideally not ignore the budget making process in its entirety. Why am I saying that? The madness starts at the budget making process in April, so that we put in so many unrealistic demands. Giving you a good example, I'm using examples so that we paint a picture. The government of Nairobi will have a budget of about 45 billion, but realistically we can raise about 30, right? And so that one pushes the finance bill as a way of raising money to get to the budget that you're proposing. And so ultimately the tariffs and the charges and the levies also come in tandem to try and mitigate or try and get to the budget that you're making. So the conversation really should start from the budget making process, come to the finance bill and the fees that are charged, and now what you're talking about, a model, and then now a full cycle that is there. Because from the county assemblies, we only look at it, we can only look at it from number one, legislatively, and number two, oversight. If that two-way angle is not looked at, then there needs the model or the way we are looking at how we are raising revenue needs to be a conversation that we have eventually, so that the discussion is just not on raising. Very finally, even if you look at the full 47 county assemblies with about 12 years since the evolution, how many counties have been able to meet their own targets of home sales revenue? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have seen that the county assemblies will be supporting the county executives to have these rules in place. Just as we conclude, the National Assembly and the Senate would have been represented here, but they had a parliamentary group meeting, and so they were not able to make it on time. But they want to talk about the two bills that have been mentioned, actually three bills, the National Rating Bill 2022, the County Government Revenue Raising Process Bill 2023, and the County Licensing Uniform Procedures Bill 2022, which are all aimed at supporting collection of OSR by setting uniform procedures for collecting these licensing fees, and also in terms of collecting the property rates. The National Rating Bill is very critical for that. And then the County Government Revenue Raising Process Bill is to ensure that the revenue raising measures at the county governments do not jeopardize the economic policies and the national policies in terms of their collection. So they would have told us where we are at this point, but I would want to ask Kiptorus, maybe based on the feedback that they have gotten from the two houses of parliament, to probably just tell us when we are likely to have these bills in place so that we know we are supporting OSR, or just maybe their status. Kiptorus?
I'm aware of the three bills. The one that is advanced is a rating bill. That is the second reading in the Senate. The one on the county revenue raising measures and all these, I think there were some issues. And it was, I think it went back to the National Assembly for some clarification. The other bill is the one on this one of the country procedure for raising bills. This was a private members, but we gave comments and it went back to the National Assembly, and we believe it's progressing well. So that is where the three bills are.
Thank you very much, Kiptorus. And we are almost at the end of this session. I'll basically just ask Governor, Your Excellency, Governor Fernandez Baraza, to probably just give your final comments as we conclude.
I just want the county governments to go on record with regards to our stand on the county revenue raising bill, which is in the National Assembly. We don't really object the issue of uniformity. The issues which we raised, and we still want to go on record, is the mechanism of having the CS National Treasury approving the charges, levies, and taxes by counties. I think that is now a systematic attempt to blow back on devolution. We must recognize that under Article 189, county governments are distinct and interdependent. So because of the distinctness, it will not be proper for the revenue raising mechanism to be micromanaged at the National Assembly or at the National Treasury. So it is important for the issues which we raised and we on record in Senate, that really you can imagine all the CEC finance getting approval from the CS National Treasury, or the kind of taxes that should be levied by counties. And yet, the PFM Act is very clear. We really support the rating bill. We are very happy with this model tariff and pricing policy, which will go a long way in unifying the revenue collection system. But the counties seeking approvals from the CS National Treasury, it is going to frustrate the revenue raising measure. Then finally, we want KRA to stop charging VAT on source revenue. This is frustrating efforts by counties to collect on source revenue. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. That is noted, and we hope that the revenue raising process bill will be coordinated by those both houses of parliament to be able to be concluded in supporting the county government. Honorable Shega, your closing remarks, please.
Thank you. First, I totally agree with the Governor on the issue of micromanagement from the top. Let the national government also allow the processes at the counties to be able to have that conversation and to conclude it. Maybe they can bring in their thinking, but anything that is counting, that is happening at the counties, let it be left at the counties. Number two, and more importantly, is that we're hoping that the policy brings a level of sanity and fairness, first to the citizens and then second to the county governments. Citizens, because they're the ones who bear the biggest brunt. To give you a good example, if we have a law on betting and gaming, because the effects that come with the yields of gaming or betting are spread across the counties and they also spread, nationally. Let us also see our way and let the model be able to address certain issues so that we just don't look at the betting, for example, and the money we can raise out of the betting, but also the social needs that come with it and who bears what brand. Many other things, but I can see your press for time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, Commissioner Hadija, in a minute, tell us the other initiatives. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Daktari. And I just wanted to pick from what CAF has said about training county assemblies on enactment of laws and oversight on both financial management and their role on OSR. That is something we've been doing. In 2016, CRA trained the county assemblies, in 2021 and 2022, and maybe we need to think about now training this phase of members of county assemblies on enactment of these laws. However, at some point, we were so worried as CRA how to bring together the assembly and the executive in one room and have a training. But if you are able to sit together in this room, I'm convinced that we can still do it at your counties, so we will come and do that. I just want to applaud Taita Taveta County. The other day we were in their county, we were training them on, we were disseminating the study to Taita Taveta County, and they came, both the executive and the assembly, full house, and every stakeholder picked on what they're supposed to do to ensure that we enhance all source revenue. For me, that is a good practice that other counties need to borrow from. We've also done tax assessment or diagnostic tool, whereby we've been assessing counties on their potential on raising their revenues. We are also reviewing the revenue forecasting tool. The one that is being used was developed in 2017. We felt that we needed now to have an accurate one, to update the one that is there, to have an accurate one, so that when you are forecasting or you are setting your targets on all source revenue, at least it's accurate. We've been reviewing and analyzing the county fiscal strategy paper. And something I want to alert the county assemblies. According to PFM Act, the PFM Act has given us a mandate as CRA to review and analyze those county fiscal strategy papers before they're taken to the county assemblies. But you'll find that sometimes the county executive present those papers to the assembly without input of CRA, and that is something that you need to look at, because we've seen counties use OSR as a balancing figure, which is wrong, because when you don't achieve the target that you set for OSR collection, then by the end of the day, it will affect the budget, and by the end of the day, you will have pending bills. And finally, we also did an exercise on cost of collection, assessment of cost of collection, what counties spend to collect revenues. And it's interesting that some counties are doing very well. According to PFM Act, you are not supposed to spend more than 30% of what you are collecting. A county like Kipe is doing so well. They spend 1 shilling to collect 7 shillings. Kakamega County here is also doing very well. They spend 1 shilling to collect 5 shillings. But there are counties that I don't want to mention their names. They spend 1 shilling to collect 1 shilling, which is very wrong. And I think we'll continue working closely with you so that we can improve on such matters, just to ensure that we are on the right track. And finally, we are currently disseminating the FEMA study, whereby every time we tell counties that they have a potential of raising this amount, they'll say how. But we've done dissemination to 5 counties, piloting to 5 counties, and if you, that is Kakamega, Taita, Homa Bay, Uasin Gishu, and West Pokot. If you maybe learn from them, they'll let you know that actually what you are doing, when we are disseminating, we are taking counties through all the revenue streams and showing you where these revenues are, and to have the local strategies to ensure that by the end of the day, you achieve your potential. And our dream as CRA has always been that by the time this third commission leaves office, at least counties should be able to achieve their target of raising 216 billion. And finally, on tariff and pricing policies that we are launching today, if there's one person who is so happy that we have managed to launch this policy today, it's me, because it will guide you, counties, on how to cost your services. The counties that are undercosting their services, the counties that are overcosting their services. For example, I was in Kilifi County. They're doing so well providing parking fees services. But if you ask them, how much do you charge parking fees? They'll tell you charge 50 shillings. And if you ask them, how much does it cost you to provide one parking slot? Definitely, it's more than that. So this tariff and pricing policy, it was overdue, and I'm happy that we are launching it today. It will really help counties cost their services so they're able to continue providing services as they check the services they provide. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you very much.
With your permission, Dr. Isabel, we've got very quick questions. If possible, the panelists, please respond to these questions. 1 minute, please. We've got a timer here for 5 minutes. So we'll start with the first question from the audience. Were there pilot counties on the potential OSR process? Okay, next question, very quickly. talk to us. 5 minutes. A big round of applause to the Chairperson, County Assembly Forum, Honorable Philemon Sabule. Karibu sana. Chairperson, County Assembly Forum. Karibu sana, karibu sana. County Assembly Forum, Honorable Philemon Sabule, karibu. Makofi yake tafadhali. 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chair, CRA, Your Excellency, the Governor present today, the Commissioners, Chairperson of various commissions, my colleagues from county assemblies, a number of speakers, an SG here, and has spoken here before us, members of county executive committees. My name is Philemon Sabule, the Chairperson of the County Assemblies Forum, and mine is just to make very brief remarks on behalf of the county assemblies and county assemblies forum. We are really delighted to join CRA this morning in this launch of a policy that is going to support the resource generation in our counties. All of us appreciate the fact that resources are never enough. They're never sufficient. What we get from the national government through the annual share of revenue is never sufficient. And what we need to do, even in pursuit of the functions and the objective of devolution, is to spur the local on-source revenue to ensure that we meet the gaps of the needs from our various communities and the counties. As county assemblies within the Republic of Kenya, we want to give our highest assurance that once this policy is launched, we are going to ensure that we play a very pivotal role in domesticating those policies and ensuring that as part of our responsibility in oversight, we have them commissioned and implemented in our various counties. I would also want to urge our colleagues from all the county assemblies, of course, including the executive, that we take time to interrogate this policy and ensure that it speaks to the needs of our people. We ensure that it helps us generate the resources that we need, but also supporting the entities, the business persons, and individuals in our counties to ensure that we spur the development and economy of our various counties. From my part, as the chairperson of the County Assemblies Forum, we want to congratulate CRA for this very important role that they played, which is part of their mandate constitutionally, and pledge our support that we are going to work with you to ensure that we succeed in this very important noble cause and many other responsibilities ahead of us. Ongera CRA. Thank you so much.
Asante sana. So, what is this model about? It's time to learn so that we are well aware of what it's all about. So get ready.
Public accountant and a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya. He is widely trained in strategic management, leadership, corporate governance, and fiscal decentralization. His experience spans over the last 32 years, 17 of which have been at various levels of management in public organizations as well as international dollar-funded research institutions. Please welcome the Commission on Revenue Allocation Secretary and CEO, CPA James Katule.
Excellency, the governors present here, the CS, Trade, Rebecca Miano, the PS, National Planning, Chair and Commissioners, Commission on Revenue Allocation, members of county assemblies represented here, governments, my colleagues from the Commission on Revenue Allocation, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'll take the next few minutes just to put into perspective what we are launching today, the process that we've gone through, and what we expect to see. And let me just laud the words of Honorable Chegemora in saying that citizens are looking for value. If I park my car somewhere in Lolongo and somebody is asking for some 50 shillings, what service have I received? Is there security? Is there anything that I'm getting in relation to that service? And therefore, I'll take the next 20 minutes just to explain that. This comes from the constitutional resources for both the national and the county governments. We talk about revenue every day so that we ensure that counties can be able to deliver services to the various institutions or the various. Section 120 of that Act is very specific that any county government or agency delivering services in the county shall adopt and implement a tariffs and pricing policy for the provision of those public services. Meaning that you need to find a basis as a county why you're charging Mwananchi or anybody who comes in for that service. And that is why we say, even further in that legislation, notwithstanding subsection 1, a county government and any agency delivering services in the county shall adopt and implement model tariffs and pricing policy subject to existing national government laws and policies. Of course, the national laws and policies include the Constitution and include the Public Finance Management Act. What do we, or why do we have to do this, and the rationale of this model? One is the constitutional mandate, which we've talked about. We have issued in 2019 an advisory to the county governments that let's have this policy. A lot of them have not implemented the same. We've engaged counties, and Commissioner Adija has been here. She said we have engaged with the counties, both the assemblies and the executives, when disseminating the OSR potential. It is clear that a number of them, actually most of them, are not adhering to the section of (120) of the County Governments Act. We have also reviewed finance bills from the various counties. And of course, it's the issue of the county potential. We have a study which says counties cumulatively can collect up to 200. We on the right course. So protection, which is a requirement of our constitution. Approval and adoption of the traders. And what are some of the factors that we would consider in that? The type of business, the size of the business, and the cost of cost, the variable cost from the urban areas, and the fixed, then we can have the total cost. Then against the number of licenses that have been issued in the last 3 years, then we can get just a number which makes it, those are the services provided. And this is the cost of providing this service. This data is from Meru County, and I believe Meru County can associate with this data. There is firefighting services. Again, I won't bore you with the figures. There is the street lighting, storm water management, road access, and waste collection. And all those have a cost associated to them. And they told us over the last 3 years, these are the number of licenses that we have issued. So when you look at the number of licenses, the number of business establishment, you find that on average, for the urban area, it would cost about 10,749 to have a business license in an urban area within Meru County, and in the rural setting, 5,610. Is that what is being charged? Is it higher? Now that can be adjusted by the county assembly as they adopt that policy. Then there will be the need for implementation and review in that cycle, and that's where I want to finish my discussion today. That is, the policy is to be implemented through an interdepartmental That will be spearheaded by the county treasury, so that we have what we are calling a technical committee. The county treasury will also commission a midterm evaluation. How has it been doing in the implementation of the tariffs and pricing policy? Then actors responsible for the implementation of this policy are the county treasury. There is that technical committee that I've just talked about. Executive Committee and the County Assembly. And these organs are interdependent, and they will be showing in, or they will be linked in the following ways. Viewing and incorporating submissions from the County Treasury so that we have the input of that institution or organ of the county government. Then there will be the County Executive Committee, which will discuss, approve that policy. It is the one that will implement the policy and will make policy decisions on the emerging issues in relation to the tariffs and pricing policy. And eventually, it comes to the Assembly, whose role is to adopt, legislate, and oversight the implementation of that policy. That is what we expect to be the overall link between the four organs of the county government who will be overseeing that. That is what I would like to say for now. Thank you very much for listening to me, and God bless you. Asante sana.
Thank you so much indeed. Standing gratitude to one of the key organizations. It's time to listen to them now. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the next 5 minutes. PFMR, Public Finance Management Reform Secretariat, Program Coordinator. A big round of applause to Wana Joel Bet. 5 minutes, please.
Ministry of Investment and Industry, Your Excellency Governors, Governor Parasa, and Governor Nasir from Mombasa, the chairperson of the commission and the other commissioners, members of the county assemblies who are here, and acknowledging all other protocols. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. As you have heard, my name is Joel Bates, Program Coordinator, Public Finance Management Reforms Program at the National Treasury. I know my PS, represented here by Director, already made comments at the panel, but having worked closely model tariffs and pricing policy. And on behalf of the PFM Secretariat, I want to congratulate the Commission and the interagency team. Progressive reform strategies. We are now into our 4th cycle PFM reform strategy. And I'm happy to know that CRA has been one of our greatest partners. We have worked together, I think, for a number of years now, since the third strategy, the 2018-2023 strategy. So the objective of the reforms program is to achieve a public finance management system that promotes transparency, accountability, equity, fiscal discipline, efficiency in the management of use and use of public resources for improved service delivery and economic development. So in our strategies, we have several pillars, or what we call the key result areas. And one of the key result areas, which is actually number one, is on the issue of sustainable and predictable fiscal space to deliver government programs. That is one of our main key result areas. And that is where CRA plays a role in terms of supporting, because this is an area where we are discussing issues of revenue, both at national and county levels. So CRA is one of the lead agencies in this area, supporting counties on issues of own source revenue. So as a result of these reforms, this is actually what has ensured successful delivery of this, what we are launching today. According to the studies that have been done in the past, and even this is one of the issues under consideration in our strategy, is that the revenue collections at county level are still below potential. There is still a lot of potential in terms of the own source revenue, so that the counties can be able now to fund their programs through also what they can be able to generate in terms of their own source revenue. Supported CRA. It's a very great, indeed, a very great achievement. And we are happy to be associated with this launch. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, revenue administration at county level. Through this, county administration will improve their fiscal autonomy, and this will give them room to better manage their public finances. So, as partners in this, having partnered with CRA in developing this, it is our wish to witness the rollout and domestication of the policy, which is aimed at ensuring counties' own source revenue are at potential. So we are proud to be associated with this milestone, and we hope it will lead to realization of the revenue potential by counties. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and God bless you.
Thank you so much indeed for your partnership. So, how do we make sure that no Kenyan is left behind? Well, time to find out.
She is a financial analyst with 37 years of experience in the public sector at national and sub-county levels. She is an ambitious and diligent professional who has expert knowledge in the organization and functions of government and is skilled in implementation and monitoring of accounting standards and systems and administering accounting units. Please welcome the Commission on Revenue Allocation Chairperson, CPA Mary Wanyonyi.
Thank you very much, Makazi. You make it look like sometimes it's not the person it's so nicely done and elaborate. The CS, Rebecca Miano, the Cabinet Secretary for Investments, Trade and Industry. Excellency Governors, FCPA, His Excellency Fernandez Baraza, Governor Kakamega County, and the Chairperson, Finance Planning and Economic Affairs Committee, the Council of Governors, Honorable His Excellency Abdul Somad Sharif Nasir, Governor Mombasa County. I must say at this point, I learned this morning, he keeps his promises. He promised to come back and he did come back. Thank you very much. Mr. Gershon Mutachi, EDS and the Chair. Chairpersons and CEOs, I see Joyce Mutinda here, Ms. Muhati, our Principal Secretary, State Department for Economic Planning, Joel Bed, Program Coordinator, Public Management Reforms Secretariat, Honorable Philemon Kiplagat Sabule, Chairperson, County Assemblies Forum, Honorable Chege Mwaura, Secretary General, County Assemblies Forum, representatives, dignitaries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'll try to make sure that I'm not between you and the lunch that has been laid out for you. I'll start by saying it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all today to witness this groundbreaking event, the first ever in East, West, and Central Africa. The launch of the model tariffs and pricing policy for county governments to guide in the development of county tariffs and pricing policies. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the principal function of the Commission on Revenue Allocation under Article 216 of the Constitution of Kenya is to make recommendations concerning the basis for the equitable sharing of nationally raised revenue between the national and county governments and among the county governments. Further, the Commission is also mandated to provide recommendations on matters concerning the financing of and financial management of by county governments. This article empowers the Commission to formulate recommendations and, when appropriate, as earlier stated, to define and enhance the revenue sources of both national and county governments. Accordingly, the 2019 National Policy to Support Enhancement of County Governments' Own Source Revenue assigned the Commission the role of assisting county governments in developing their tariffs and pricing policies. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Article 209, Sub-Article 4 of the Constitution empowers county governments to levy charges for the services they provide, enabling them to increase their own source revenue in addition to funds from the equitable share. However, there has been widespread complaints, as it has just been alluded, from traders, exporters, and companies about high and unjustified charges, as well as the multiplicity of fees and charges across the country, and action was prompted by that. So on 11th August 2015, the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council resolved to develop a national policy to address counties' own source revenue and challenges in the collection and administration of decentralized taxes, fees, and charges. At the time, IBEC was chaired by His Excellency the President, Dr. William Ruto, who remains committed to enhancing revenue for both levels of government. The development process of this model policy commenced following Cabinet approval of the National Policy to Support Enhancement of County Governments on Source Revenue. A special interagency committee under the leadership of the Commission on Revenue Allocation was thereafter appointed to steer the development process of a model tariffs and pricing policy for county governments. The committee comprised of representatives from the National Treasury and Economic Planning, Council of Governors, Kenya Institute of Public Policy Research and Analysis, Kenya Investment Authority, county representatives, and several state departments. The composition of the diverse committee was by design to ensure inclusivity and stakeholder ownership when it comes to the model policies adoption by county governments. This model policy comes at an opportune time to serve as a crucial guide for county governments in generating their own source revenue. In January this year, the Council of Governors gave its Congress by approving this model tariffs and pricing policy for county governments, a reflection of the substantial support behind its development. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as you have just been told, Section 120 of the County Governments Act requires counties to establish a tariffs and pricing policy for the provision of public services, which will form the basis for county primary laws that will govern the levying of county user fees and charges. However, to date, no county government has developed such a tariffs and pricing policy, and therefore not operating within the law. In order to address this gap, the Commission on Revenue Allocation developed this model tariffs and pricing policy on county governments, which we are launching today. The Commission is dedicated to supporting county governments in enhancing their revenue sources while continuing to make recommendations on equitable allocations. Our vision is now a balanced socio-economic development for Kenya, and our mission is to make reliable recommendations on equitable revenue sharing, revenue enhancement, and prudent public financial management. We pledge to uphold these principles during our term as the third Commission on Revenue Allocation. We believe that tariffs can be a significant revenue source for county governments, helping to address revenue constraints in service provision. We strongly believe in the importance of engagement between county governments and the people they serve, particularly when levying fees and charges. This model policy will guide the county governments in developing a transparent and understandable tariffs and pricing policy, providing a clear basis for tariff setting. It includes, as earlier alluded, a step-by-step guide which county governments can customize based on their unique circumstances. In this model policy, county governments are also provided with examples of how they can cost services to set appropriate tariffs. Proper tariff determination is crucial for maximizing revenue and ensuring financial sustainability. This model policy is key in the realization of the national agenda, in particular, the achievement of economic turnaround and economic growth. It will lead to the expanding of the tax base and contribute to more citizens paying the requisite fees and charges, as there will be a basis for levying these in the counties. Further, this model policy, once domesticated by county governments, will lead to the improvement of county governments' own source revenue. This will have a positive impact on the provision of county services, including healthcare, agriculture, and a better working environment for the micro, the small, and the medium enterprises. Through this model policy, county governments will have to provide services equivalent to the fees and charges they are collecting. Additionally, prior to adopting a tariffs and pricing policy, county governments will be required to undertake extensive public participation to enhance ownership and acceptability by county residents. The model policy, once domesticated by county governments, will promote ease of doing business in Kenya by eliminating the multiplicity and duplicity of fees and charges levied across the counties. What this means is that the mwananchi will not pay for similar services multiple times across different counties. The mwananchi will not pay for services multiple times across different counties. They will not pay for services that are not being offered or provided for in their respective counties, and not pay the same fee across the counties as it is in the case of CES. Further, the Mwananchi will have clarity on fees and charges for various services and whether the fees are commensurate to the service being provided. This model policy, once domesticated by county governments, will therefore solve a problem the Mwananchi has faced from the onset of devolution. Let me now take this opportunity to acknowledge, although the CEO had done some of it, and appreciate the support of the following, without whom the development of this model policy would not have been possible. His Excellency the President, Dr. William Ruto, His Excellency the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, who is the current chair of IBEC, the National Treasury and Economic Planning, the Council of Governors, the Public Financial Management Reform Secretariat, the Second Commission, and I see Dr. Irene here, thank you, Intergovernmental and Budget Economic Council. The Interagency Committee, which had been alluded to earlier, which had comprised of the Council of Governors, the National Treasury, the Kenya Institute of Public Policy Research and Analysis, the State Department for Trade and Enterprise Development, which in fact is represented by the CS herself here, the State Department for Public Works, the State Department for Housing and Urban Development, the Kenya Investment Authority, the county representatives from Machakos, Kiambu, and Nairobi. Last but not least, I wish to express gratitude to my team, the commissioners. Could I request the commissioners of CRA to stand up, please? Commissioner Hadija, stand up. Commissioner Hadija, Commissioner Kuko, Dr. Isabel, she was sitting on the panel here, must have stepped out. We have the Vice Chair, Mr. Koimet, and the Commissioner Fatuma. They are out of the country, and Commissioner Mwasia, Commissioner Midiu, who is the chair of the legal committee, has a bit of a cold, so he has not been able to join us today. So this is the team that has led the team of the CEO. CEO, please stand up. He was here before you. And the CEO had his team, especially the Commission's Legal Directorate, Sheila. And Sheila, please stand up. And Caroline, the team that is putting all this together. Can I also have the entire CRA staff, please stand up. Emily, Faith, Nancy, all of them. Please give this team a round of applause. Thank you very much for having ensured that this function has got to where it is today. So I therefore call upon the 47 county governments to adopt and domesticate this model policy in a bid to ensure balanced socio-economic development for Kenya. Thank you all for gracing this momentous occasion. Asanteni sana. God bless the Commission on Revenue Allocation, and God bless Kenya. Before I sit down, I would wish to invite my chair of chairs, Mr. Gershom Otachi, who's the chairperson of National Lands Commission, just to make a few remarks. Asante, karibu sana, Chair.
Chief guest, CS Liano, His Excellencies, Your Excellencies, the governors, my fellow chair. You notice I have not been profiled there because I was not meant to be speaking. Otherwise, you would have seen my CV as the others have. Let me thank my fellow chair for giving me an opportunity just to to greet you. May I just recognize those of us who are present, Chair Dr. Joyce Mutinda. I don't know if there's any other representative from the other commissions or independent offices. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Gasho Motachi. I'm the chairman of the National Commission. We have a caucus of chairs of commissions and holders of independent offices, and we look out for each other and we try and see how we are doing. And that's why when I was invited, I said, let me come and support and also bring greetings and congratulations from the caucus to CRA for this milestone. We have come here a couple of times in the past for launch of reports, for launch of guidelines, for launch of policies, and we are very, very proud of CRA, a fellow chair, and we continue to applaud you and appreciate the work you're doing. Now, the devolution and the county systems, we are all about the same age. We were conceived under the 2010 Constitution. We were born at different stages, the years following, but we have a common history. And what we do appreciate every now and then are these teething challenges of being new in the space of the history of Kenya. So seated there, I listened to His Excellency Barasa talk about how sometimes you feel the bigger brother is taking a bit of your space. I heard that from, of course, the County Assembly as well, on BAT and other issues. We come across that as well. In the land sector, property taxes, I know you know that there are issues between who should be receiving this and who is actually receiving and what should be done. We as well, as constitutional commissions and independent offices, have that issue of sometimes nasikia kama umefinywa kidogo na serikali kuu, because it has been there for decades and we are new in the space. But as we grow and learn, then we get to know who sits where and at what time. So these challenges that we face, we appreciate them and we learn as we go along. So finally, very specifically about the commission, listening to the issues of on-source revenue. As a commission, the National Commission, we continually remind the counties two things. One, county spatial plans. Spatial planning, which is a function of the counties. Most counties are doing very poorly. That is important. And you get to appreciate the importance of planning when you see the kind of scenes we saw when we had very heavy floods and you find residential areas flooded and so on and so forth, is when you appreciate the importance of planning. Secondly, regularization of the various urban areas. There are so many urban areas that are sprouted across the country and are sprouting across the country, and even old ones where all that the owner of a property holds is some document from the defunct municipal or county government, but they have not proceeded further to titling. So what we encourage, of course, for that to be properly done, regularization is planning and survey. Then you come to us, we issue letters of allotment, then you get titles. Now, a lot of times, we find that the counties do not appreciate. It is a cost to plan and to survey, but they don't appreciate that you spend that money and you are going to raise a lot more down the line. Because the moment you have regularized, people have titles, the property values go up, people can buy and sell, they have security to get more. Quite aside from the property tax that you'll be able to enhance from that. So I just use the opportunity, others as well. We appreciate the engagement with the counties. When we had our retreat as CCIOs about 2 months ago, we had Her Excellency, the COT chair, chair creates the occasion. So we are together, we will continue working together. God bless everyone, God bless the counties, God bless Kenya, God bless CRA, thank you.
Asante sana, Chair of Chairs. I think that was spot on. And I feel very proud that you bring greetings from my colleagues. Thank you very much. His Excellency, Your Excellency, Governor Mombasa, you've come a long way. Please come and say something. Karibu.
He has a rich background in media and communications. He is deeply committed to uniting Mombasa's diverse communities, fostering an inclusive environment regardless of religious or ethnic backgrounds. He is dedicated to public participation and transparency, aiming to build a government that the people trust and actively participate in. Please welcome Mombasa County Governor, His Excellency Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir.
Asante sana. You'll forgive me, my voice will be a bit loud. I'm a politician. Everyone else was a bit low in their tone. First, I want to congratulate the CRA on this milestone achievement. You truly are part and parcel of your constitutional dispensation, which is to be able to partner with county governments for us to be able to truly do what the pioneers of the Constitution had in mind, and that is the true spirit of devolution. I want to congratulate you. I want to congratulate my sister, the CS. I knew her before she knew she was going to be a CS, and before I knew I was going to be governor. So we've come a long way, and I'm proud of what it is that you've been able to achieve. The commissioners and all of you who are here, representatives of the assemblies, chairs and chairs of the chair as well, who is here, CEO of the commission. I have one issue, and it's not really an issue, but it's what I believe. And when I talk to my team back in Mombasa, I tell them the narrative that we need to look at, we should not start talking about thinking outside the box. The thoughts should be thinking as if there's no box at all. I have been in communication with the Commission for Revenue Allocation quite a number of times. When I got sworn in, I looked at what we were collecting, what our potential was. I'm glad that the teams in Mombasa had training, courtesy of the Commission for Revenue Allocation, so asanteni for that as well. One of the things that we have been able to look at that is totally unique, we looked at situations where we are looking at the same revenue streams, and then we asked where are the other issues that we can actually be able to do something on. One of them was which is our latest revenue stream that we've been able to get, is we realize the ships that come to our shores have garbage as well. Why should we be charging the shops and the houses? And there's a ship as well that is providing garbage, and that garbage is being disposed into Mombasa. And then we're now looking at it in a different way, in a different angle. And this does not even, it supersedes, it does include on-source revenue, but it supersedes just the need for on-source revenue. And this is now the issue of hazardous waste, which we have to be able to take charge of now, so that tomorrow's generations does not start talking about climate change and its effect. And this is something that Mombasa is going to be taking leadership on, to be able to ensure that our county and our country is going to be safe in the right way. And you will be hearing from me and my teams as well, so that we can be able to do this particular laws together. A lot has been said, And I think it is important that everyone takes the initiative that the Commission for Revenue Allocation has been able to take to ensure that devolution goes all the way downwards. There are certain bills that have been proposed by national government that I applaud. One of them is the rating bill. The committee has 10 months to go through, and then they give an answer within of devolution. We have the county assembly. If you take the role of the county assembly, please tell me what MCAs and the assemblies are meant to be doing. If we're going to start trying to micromanage counties, I heard the budget by the CS of Treasury, and I was taken aback. On 16th of April, the Council of Governors sat down and made a resolution. They were not going to allow national government to say that this is what you need. Including all other details, but not to try and micromanage. An issue that was passed by IBEC on 6th of May of this year, whose costs of collecting garbage, cost of street lighting and everything else. Then there's properties that belong to government. That centers need to be asking is, instead of being told on how to micromanage, we need to flip the coin and ask ourselves, were these matters as well included? You cannot tell me that you want me to grow when every single time I want to take a step and I want to crawl and I want to walk, you insist that I have to continue wearing a diaper. And then that diaper, it is you who tells me whether I have a rash or don't have a rash. It is not me who's meant to cry when something is bothering us. And that, I think, is the spirit that we want to be able to work on. I once again want to congratulate CRA for this occasion. As I have always, and it is in the spirit of Mombasa County, I have always worked with CRA. Whenever we have any new laws, I always get the views of CRA, which is my legal requirement, but then also to tap in on the expertise as well of CRA. So expect to hear more from us. I know that very soon you're going to be, your chairs are going to be very hot because you're sharing formula which has to be sent.
Commission, Josephine, please. That she sits at the commission also. These are the other commissioners that we have. Thank you very much. Now it's my pleasure. Invite James Muhati, CBS, Pro-Secretary, State Department for Economic Planning, who will be making remarks on behalf of CS.
Acknowledge this morning our chief guest, the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Investments, Trade and Industry, Madam Rebecca Mayano. I know this is really your time to preside over this particular function. I would also want to recognize and acknowledge the presence of His Excellency Governor FCPA Fernandez Baraza, Your Excellency the Governor for Mombasa, Abu Samad Nasir, who is the other chair for the independent commissions, and the presence of Dr. Asiega from the Economic Council of Advisors, this also being a former home, and colleagues present, good afternoon. I'm here this morning to represent the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning, Professor Njuguna Ndung'u, who was not able to come, but had sent me with his remarks. But of course, in the interest of protocol and time, I would want not to take much of the time of the CS, Madam Rebecca Mayano, who is present, but just to cite the closing remarks in the speech for the CS, and this is what he had to say. Finally, sorry, I'm reading from my with hard copies here. He said that finally, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to join the other speakers in thanking the multi-agency team which developed the model policy, especially the county governments which provided the requisite data. My office is committed to providing any technical assistance the counties may require in developing their own tariffs and pricing model. Thank you all, and God bless you, Professor Njuguna Ndung'u, Cabinet Secretary, the National Treasury, and Economic Planning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, PS, for your remarks.
As mentioned, I'm Tabitha Mutinda, the Vice Chair to the Finance and Budgeting Senate. My apologies for coming late, but we're just from having a very critical discussion with the Head of State, none other than Dr. William Ruto, on the issues of finance bill. And even before I proceed, just to mention on the issues of the bills, that I was earlier to come and give a highlight. Allow dominated. So most of the concerns that Kenyans had, we've really had a very robust discussion. Members of the National Assembly, the county revenue raising bill, it has brought a bit of, issues here and there,
all our stakeholders, led by CRA. We've worked very closely. And that is why, as much as I'm supposed to go back to the committee, this afternoon, I had to honor this particular moment, CRA, because you've really worked with us very closely as a committee, and that's why we felt that at least even if it's a few issues, so different taxation for each and every county, depending on how each issues do affect them. But we welcome the policies and the framework that CRA has proposed, so that we can be able to increase our own source of revenue. I can tell you today, and I can confirm with you today, that in our PG today we had the governor for Embu, of course, who is our chair for the ruling party. And the issue of the on-source revenue has been a thorny issue to ask county governments. The only solution ambayo Bwana Rais amezungumzia leo, deni iko juu, lakini ile kidogo county imeweza kupata hiyo 400 billion, msifanye National Assembly waweze kushukisha chini, kwa sababu hapo tunapigana vita na sisi kama maseneta tutazidi kupigania ugatuzi ili
and the engagements that we have, the fruitful engagements. So we thank you so much for coming. Yes, karibu. You can proceed the tete-a-tete. So it's now my pleasure to request Rebecca Miano, the Cabinet Secretary, to come and make her remarks.
With close to 3 decades of experience in the energy sector, she has carved a niche for herself in business law and corporate governance. She was once named among Africa's top 100 women CEOs and joined the World Bank Group's Advisory Council on Gender and Development. She served as the Managing Director and first female CEO of Kenya Electricity Generating Company PLC Kengen, and later on as Cabinet Secretary for East Africa Community, the ASOLs and Regional Development. Please welcome Ministry of
and one that now ushers in, and 2, the Commission for Revenue Allocation initiated the development of a model policy, and counties can customize to suit their unique circumstances, all geared towards enabling traders to thrive. Since 2013, counties started charging multiple fees and charges, following which the then chairperson of the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council convened a conference that culminated in the formation of the national policy to support enhancement of county government's own source revenue in 2019. The journey to this point, with regard to the finalization of this model policy, has been onerous and winding. Thankfully, though a whole 13 years since the onset of devolution, counties now have a reason to smile. Policy offers guidance on how to comply with the legal requirements of developing tariffs and pricing policies informed by a structured system. Forthwith, the basis of levying fees and charges for the services counties offer will draw guidance from a standardized reference point. Ladies and gentlemen, I commend the Commission for Revenue Allocation for taking the lead in an interagency committee that had the Council of Governors, my ministry, the Kenya Investment Authority, and individual counties, among other key players and stakeholders. The foremost highlight of this progressive policy is the legroom it has created for the domestication of own source revenue policy implementation. Let me hasten at the very onset to implore the implementers of this policy to ensure that at no time should the taxation and other revenue-raising powers of a county be exercised in a manner as to undermine the national economic goals. To all intents and purposes, the implementation of this policy should not impede inter-county economic activities or obstruct the mobility of goods, services, capital, or labor. Going by the tremendous support county governments have extended to my ministry in the formulation and now implementation of the county aggregation and industrial parks, I have no doubt that the same goodwill will suffice in the implementation of the policy we are here to launch today. Some of you know the importance of the KIPES. I have a feeling that the model policy for tariffs and pricing, which is a critical tool for leveraging the county aggregation and industrial parks, will bring my ministry and our 47 counties even closer. Just so that you take note and have a reason to pat your backs, this is the first ever model tariff policy in East, West, and Central Africa. Let us clap for CRA, for the counties, let us clap for Kenya. I have no reason to doubt that the implementation of this policy will improve our ease of doing business while bringing critical services closer to the people. The initiative we are launching today will provide citizens with information to help them appreciate the rationale behind the fees and charges they pay. Better yet, members of the public will have clarity on the services they should expect from the county. In return, we will be creating predictability for businesses to thrive. I encourage county governments to expedite the adoption of the model swiftly and proceed to domesticate it to comply with Section 120 of the County Governments Act, and that will pave the way for an efficient and sustainable way of setting tariffs, fees, and charges at county level. I also want to extend the cooperation and support from my ministry in making this a reality for all the counties. I look forward to working together to creating an environment where businesses, investments, and industries can thrive for the good of our people in the Republic of Kenya. I thank you.
Asante sana, CS. We need to give her another round of applause. At this moment, I would like to invite FCPA, Your Excellency Fernandes Baraza, Governor wa Kakamega. Karibu.
Thank you very much, our chairperson for CRA. I'm actually standing here on behalf of the chair of COG, Her Excellency Madam Anwai Guru. So I'm standing in the shoes of the chief guest. Our CS, Trade, Investment and Industry, Madam Rebecca Miano. Our Senator Tabitha, our Vice Chair, Finance and Budget, I recognize you. A true defender of devolution. Our PS for planning, Bwana James Muhati, thank you very much for your support. My brother Governor of Mombasa, all the distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First and foremost, before I read the message of our chief guests, I just want to appreciate in a big way CRA and congratulate you for this initiative of coming up with a model tariff and pricing policy. Makofi for CRA. I think this is now the road of ensuring that counties really realize their potential of collecting 216 billion Kenya shillings on source revenue. I also want to appreciate our county assemblies and their commitment to ensure that all the primary legislation that will facilitate our collection of our specific revenue streams are actually enacted, and that is why this conversation, we are having it here with all the stakeholders who matter in matters of revenue collection. I've seen various CECs here, and also revenue people. I think this conversation really is going to enhance our revenue collection. I also want to appreciate in a big way CRA for capacity building and challenging counties to specifically enhance and diversify their revenue streams. I think that will be seen in the next financial year. And as we prepare to have another conversation on the division of revenue allocation for 2024-2025, this time around CRA hamutaangusha counties. I know senators, I want to appreciate you by putting your foot forward to support the 400 billion, which was slightly below what the senator had proposed of 415. And because we are very patriotic as governors, we wholeheartedly accepted the figure of 400 billion as the amount allocated for counties for 2024-2025 financial year. And of course, we promise to deliver services to the people. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to read the message of our chief guest, Her Excellency Anne Waiguru, who is the chair of the Council of Governors and also the governor of Kirinyaga County. I am pleased to join you today as we launch the guidebook on the development of the tariffs and pricing policy by the county governments, whose objective is to comprehensively guide how county governments set the tariffs and how they cost the services 20 of the County Governments Act. The model tariffs and pricing policy for county governments as a comprehensive framework designed not only to streamline counties' own source revenue collection, but also to ensure that our economic and fiscal policies resonate with the expectations of our citizens. A clear and predictable tariff setting and pricing structure will enhance investors and taxpayers' confidence and ultimately improve the quality of life for all residents, and of course, making sure that we achieve our objectives as county governments. It will also empower county governments to make informed decisions based on sound economic principles, thereby promoting sustainable development and fostering a conducive environment for both local and international partnerships. It's without doubt that our counties have immense potential to raise revenue from one source to supplement the equitable share of revenue raised nationally. In general, counties have significantly increased revenue collections over the years. This is evidenced by the recently published County Government Budget Implementation Review Report for the first 9 months of the financial year 2023-2024 by the Controller of Budget. The 9 months of the current financial year alone, county governments generated revenue amounting to billion, also as revenue generated in a similar period for 2022-2023. It is evident in the current financial year that county government's own source revenue has nearly doubled as compared to the previous financial year. This shows the commitment and efforts are put in place by respective county governments to complement their equitable share of revenues collected nationally. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, despite the improvement of the on-source revenue collection recorded over the recent years, the full potential of counties to raise revenue from own sources is yet to be realized. We are cognizant of the findings of the latest report on OSR potential and tax gap study by CRA, which estimated the overall revenue potential for county governments to be at 216 billion Kenya shillings, and whose recommendations we are keen on implementing. This can be done through diversification and identification of new revenue streams, bridging the gap that exists and enhancing capacity for better revenue management practices. Further, the enhancement of on-source revenue collection will not only improve the fiscal autonomy of county governments, but also ensures improved ability to provide various public goods and services to citizens, effective governance, eradicate poverty, and achieve the county's development goals. As county governments endeavor to achieve their own source revenue potential, national government's efforts should complement and not stifle these efforts. In this regard, the continued harassment of county governments by the Kenya Revenue Authority, demanding VAT on various county revenues, accrual of interest and penalties due to non-payment of the same, is not only irregular, but also negates the principles of Article 6(2) of the Constitution. We therefore urge KRS to cease forthwith from making any such demands on VAT on counties' own source revenue and respect the constitutional separation of the taxes and charges to be imposed by the levels of the governments, both national and the counties. And as I said earlier, KRA will also respect Article 189 of the Constitution, which clearly provides for the independence of the two levels of government and not continuously harass counties by imposing 16% VAT on own source revenue. I would like to assure all of you the support of the Council in continued collaboration on this noble cause of unlocking the potential of counties to generate more revenue. I urge the Commission to work very closely with the Council of Governors to disseminate this model policy. Additionally, I wish to urge all county government officers represented here today to participate in the dissemination exercise by the Commission and customize it to come up with county-specific tariffs and pricing policies as required by law. Further, I wish to request the Commission, as they undertake the capacity building of the county executives on the model policy, they ought to capacity build all the 47 county assemblies as they are mandated to review and pass legislation pertaining to the tariffs and fees to be collected in a given financial year. As I conclude, let me congratulate the Commission on Revenue Allocation for spearheading various on-source revenue reforms process, which is very welcome, especially at this time where counties are set to pass their finance bills, which are set to raise revenue measures for this financial year. I also extend my sincere gratitude to everyone who has contributed to the development of this model policy. Your hard work and dedication have made this launch possible, and I'm confident and that together we will continue to achieve remarkable milestones in the service of our people. With those many remarks, I would like now to launch the book that is a price and tariff model, a policy for county governments to customize towards enhancing their
Thank you very much for representing 5 minutes to just recognize each of us here and appreciate that we are here and we made it here and we found time to be here. CRA appreciates you, and we also should appreciate each other. Can I just request the CCIOs that are here, either by representation or by the leadership? I can see Dr. Joyce Mutinda there. There's other representation there. Please just stand up so that we can clap. I think we were expecting ESCC, ODPP, NFC, and of course gender is here. Asanteni sana. Can we appreciate the IBEC? I see them seated there. Thank you very much for coming. IBEC and Amat, we are very grateful. Omutia, we never forget you. Please stand up. We need to recognize and appreciate you. Kenya Revenue Authority. In fact, there's representation from Mr. Moses Nyangie, but if he's accompanied by others, please stand up wherever you are. Moses and team, thank you. Very much for coming. Please extend our appreciation to the Commissioner General. The Parliamentary Budget Office, they are here. Please stand up. There they are. Asante sana. And of course the governors also. Then I'll go to the counties themselves. Nakuru, you are here. Tafadhali simama. Asante sana. Kilifi, please stand up. Yes, Kilifi, asante sana. Santeni. Meru is here. Thank you. Stand up so that we acknowledge you. Thank you very much. West Pokot, all the way, please stand up. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Nyeri, tafadhali simameni. Asante sana. Mombasa, you're led by your governor. I'm sure there are others there. Big team. Thank you very much, Governor. Kakamega is here, led by the Asanteni Kakamega. Yes, Abantu Wengo, Karibuni. Nairobi representation. Thank you very much. Most welcome. Kitui is here. Tafadhali, wherever you are. Asanteni sana. Kericho, asanteni sana. Yes, thank you. Busia is also here. Busia, thank you very much. Elgeyo Marakwet, I know also represented by the chair of CAP, but they are also here, isn't it? Yes, thank you very much. Kajiado, tafadhali, asanteni sana. Kisii, asanteni sana. Bungoma, thank you very much, asanteni. Laikipia, thank you very much, Laikipia. Nandi, Tharaka Nithi, thank you very much, asanteni sana. Baringo, yes, thank you very much. Kiambu, asante sana. Taita Taveta, asante sana. We also have the development partners, Institute of Surveyors, you're here. Asante sana, Madam. Institute of Public Finance, thank you very much. The County Government Watch, yes, they're here. Asante sana. We have the Senate represented here at very high level. Asante sana, Senator Tabitha. Of course, we have the National Treasury represented by the Economic Planning State Department and the National Treasury itself. They are also here. Please stand up, National Treasury. Yes, Kitarus and Josephine, asanteni sana, and asante sana, advisor to the President's office and also a former commissioner. And yes, Dr. Irene Asienga, I was being reminded, but I knew, former commissioner, CRA, and currently at Office Fiscal and Budget Matters. I saw you a lot, even before I joined CRA, training on OSR. It was very impressive. Thank you very much. I learned a lot actually from there, even when I had not planned to join CRA. Is there anybody we have left out? Yes, you can just tell us which. Kirinyaga County, asante sana. Any other person, yes? Sorry? Siaya, asante sana, karibu. Where? Where?
Garissa.
Garissa County, asante. Kisumu County, karibu. Machakos, asante. Yes, just stand up and say. Mesikia hiyo sauti? Pigia makofi. Asante, karibu. Sorry? Turukana, karibu sana. Murang'a County, karibu sana. Which one? Makueni. Asante sana. Law Society of Kenya, thank you very much. Any other? Sorry? Nakuru. Samburu. Samburu, karibu sana. You can see the representation. It is a very good representation. We thank you for the travels that you took all the way to be here from your various destinations. So we cannot, if there's anybody else I've left out, please feel free to put your hand up. But the day has just been so successful. I still feel my team has not been appreciated enough. CEO, can you just come quickly here with your team and tell us, where is Sheila? Just come and stand here and tell them to quickly just, we'll be clapping for them as they come. Please, CRA team, come. Kuria, Angela, let's continue clapping for them. Sheila, Carol, please, continue clapping, tafadhali. Let's clap for this team. Come, CRA team. Nelly, where are you? Why are you sitting behind them? Come, all of you. Karen, come, of course, led by our commissioners. Please come forward quickly. Quickly. CRA, the entire CRA staff, please come forward. Thank you very much. Continue clapping for them, tafadhali. Even the drivers, please come forward. You're part of CRA, the security team. Please come. Let us continue clapping for them. Asanteni sana. So this is the CRA team. Among them was a smaller team that ensured the success of this day today. The legal team, which is chaired by Commissioner Midiwo, and the legal directorate here, chaired by Madam Sheila Eke. She has done so well. And one final round of applause. CEO, thank you.